Coming up on this week's edition of Ncba's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Stewardship and conservation have long been the focus of America's farmers and ranchers. We're taking a closer look at the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program and the impact it has on the long-term success of the beef industry.
And now, a special edition of Ncba's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Welcome to this special edition of Ncba's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Russell Nemitz. Cattle producers face all kinds of challenges when it comes to protecting the environment, but they all have a common goal: leaving the land better than they found it. For more than a quarter of a century now, the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program, or ESAP, recognizes the nation's best operations for their stewardship efforts. These are the farmers and ranchers who go above and beyond when it comes to conservation. We're coming to you from the Blackleg Ranch here in North Dakota, the 2016 national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Today, we're going to examine the value of the ESAP program to the beef industry and hear from many past stewardship award winners. Let's start with a closer look at the Blackleg Ranch and the Doan family's commitment to conservation.
For more than 130 years, the Doan family has been raising cattle in this part of North Dakota. In fact, Blackleg Ranch has been around longer than the state they call home.
My great-grandfather came down out of Canada in 1880, which was then Dakota territory, and then in 1882 he homesteaded here. My grandfather brought the first Angus cows to southern Burleigh County here in North Dakota in 1930, and it was predominantly Hereford country, and people hated those black cattle, and it kind of started as a joke, those black-legged SOVs. And my grandfather was just enough of a character, he named it that.
The Doan family runs about 600 head of commercial cattle and custom grazes an additional 2,400. Jerry and his wife Renee are the fourth generation to operate Blackleg Ranch, while their kids and their families represent the fifth and sixth generations. Supporting additional people required creative thinking, and the Doans have expanded into ventures beyond the livestock business.
Our main bread and butter is still the cow herd and cattle business, and and it probably always will be. But as we add other members of the family, we've got to find niches and diversity to make this successful.
We have had to since diversify, and which is what you see here, where you've got the hunting, you've got the weddings, the corporate events, of course the cattle, and all the other things that we do. And so that's kind of neat and something that's not very common.
At Blackleg Ranch, they have a deep appreciation for their long history. But the Doan family is always thinking ahead to future generations that will one day live and work on this land.
You know, we're leaving a legacy, and I feel this ranch is bigger than all of us, and our rich history and tradition is bigger than us.
My dad always says that he wants this place to leave his hands in better condition than when he got it. And so as we come up, I feel that that's a very good motto to live by when we hand it over to the next generation.
We would like to see this continue and stay together for our kids and their kids and future generations to enjoy.
There's going to be a lot of changes probably, 10 years from now that we don't even imagine today what could happen. So that's what makes it fun. It's new ideas we're able to try and, capture.
We want to make sure that the ranch is sustainable and it's in a better position than when we obtained it, so that it can go on for generations.
I do want stewardship to not just stay the same, I want it to improve. I think there's tons more we can do. We're not near where I want to be yet, and I probably won't ever be to that level. I just want to keep pulling up that hill. We've got plenty to do yet, but it's moving in the right direction.
Joining me now is Jerry Doan of the Blackleg Ranch. And Jerry, for folks at home, can you tell us what it was like for your family to win the ESAP award?
Well, we were tickled pink. I'll be honest, you know, it was just exciting. North Dakota had never won the award, and so to bring it home to North Dakota for all the producers in North Dakota and to showcase our regeneration of our natural resources and all the work we've done, myself and my boys, it's just fun to be recognized for it.
Tell us why stewardship is such a key and core component of your operation here in North Dakota.
Well, first off, the consumer is demanding it. They don't understand what we do in agriculture. There's a lot of, you know, and my personal pet peeve phrase is perception becomes reality, right or wrong. And the perception is that we're not doing that good on the land. And there are many of us that are just working hard to regenerate our natural resources, to propagate the wildlife, to improve our soil health, and to make it better for the next generation. That's one of my personal goals. I want to turn this ranch over in better shape than I got it. And so it drives everything we do. And then we've got to spread that message to the consumer about what we do in a positive image.
Why are you such a believer in what the Environmental Stewardship Award Program stands for and what it can do to help tell our story?
Well, I don't think we do near enough of this. And what they do with this award is tremendous, but they can do a lot more because, again, the consumer is demanding it. They need to know. We've got to spread that message. And so by winning this award and allowing us this so-called platform to stand on to visit about it, allows us to do more of that. And we need to get out there and talk about it. And we're fortunate here on this ranch because we bring lots of tour groups here. We bring lots of corporate events and weddings and things in here. And so always a segment of any time we can fit it in is to tell the positive story of agriculture and the beef cattle industry.
What's your advice for other cattlemen or cattlewomen or anybody involved with agriculture who are truly doing some magnificent things on and in their own operations, who may be sitting on the fence about wanting to apply for something like ESAP?
Well, I just encourage them to get with it. You know, you've got to do it, and that's part of our problem in agriculture. We tend to stand back, we let the bad publicity go, but I always challenge people. Now, I'm a little bit fortunate because we have a bit of a business structure here to make this work, but all of us in our own way can tell the story, whatever it is, and we've all got, as there gets to be fewer and fewer of us, we've got to tell the story. And then the next step is take a stab at winning this award. Many folks out there are very qualified, very deserving, and they could certainly go after it. I think it's a tremendous opportunity.
Hey, and one more question. I mean, if they don't succeed the first time around, there's nothing wrong with reapplying the coming year or the year after. I mean, keep applying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just sat through the selection process in there. First time I've ever been in it, you know, obviously because I was an award winner, they let me peek in a little bit. And that was one of the things that came up. Is sometimes folks, if they don't win, and I watch it, you know, it's like a point difference. And so it's a shame those folks don't come back and apply again. We got to swallow our pride a little. It's always hard, you know, somebody's got to win and somebody comes in second, but come back again because you're so deserving, and you can spread that message to consumers, and that's so important. I just would encourage folks to apply, and if you've done it once, apply again.
Well, I know I've said it before, but thanks again for inviting us out to your Blackleg Ranch here outside of Bismarck, North Dakota.
Well, we've just been thrilled to death to have you here on the ranch.
All right, thanks again. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone for the award, visit environmentalstewardship.org. Still ahead on this special edition of Ncba's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll hear from more past Stewardship Award winners about the importance of the program and what it means to protect your operation's resources for future generations. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Say goodbye to your toughest pasture and rangeland weeds for good. Because one product offers season-long control, handles the widest spectrum of broadleaf weeds, and clears the way for increased forage with greater grazing flexibility. so you get more beef per acre at a cost that can't be beat. It's Grazon Next HL herbicide, and if it's in your pastures, plain and simple, weeds won't be.
At Case IH, we believe it's our job to provide you with solutions. That's why our Farmall and Maxim tractors, as well as our tools and attachments, are designed with you in mind. From mowing to baling to loading and more, we're here to help turn your to-dos into to-dones. At Case IH, we'll keep your days running smoothly with equipment that's durable, versatile, and highly efficient. No wonder farmers are more loyal to Case IH than any other brand. Visit your local dealer or go to caseih.com/livestock for more.
Welcome back. Today we're taking a closer look at the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program and the hard-working families that share a love for the land and an appreciation for conservation. In 2007, Yolo Land and Cattle was honored as the national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Let's take a look at their stewardship story.
Those who live and work on the land are by nature the most dedicated to preserving that land for the future. No doubt, Yolo Land and Cattle Company is an operation that excels in the commitment to environmental stewardship demonstrated by each member of the Stone family.
Our whole approach is to have it be in better condition than when we got here and when we bought this ranch. And I can honestly say it's greatly improved from when we bought this ranch.
We all passionately believe in what we're doing. I think that all of us feel the same way, that, you know, preserving the environment, not only our ranch, but the environment in general, is important for our next generations.
Each one of the family members brings something different into the atmosphere and into the business. We each have our strengths, and it is nice to be able to kind of be on the creative side as far as the marketing and the distribution.
With rainfall under 24 inches per year, the Stones have made extensive use of irrigated pasture. They reuse rinse water that comes from a local tomato cannery to intensively graze their herd and hold them off native pasture at critical times.
This year is probably one of the worst we've faced since we've owned the ranch, just because of the drought conditions. It's pretty tough when you don't have water to try to make these things happen.
To manage their rangelands, the Stones have added cross fencing to implement rotational grazing. And they've partnered with NRCS on a number of projects, including the restoration of native plants and the use of solar power to pump water.
We have been blessed with wonderful partners over the years, or we wouldn't be able to do a fraction of what we get done out here.
It's encouraging to see that things are evolving around these ponds, and that is actually increasing the wildlife density on the ranch.
Perhaps most impressive is the decision the Stone family made to place their home ranch in a conservation easement held by the California Rangeland Trust, meaning this land will always be a working cattle ranch.
That's probably something I'm the most proud of. I'm a land conservationist, a great supporter of protecting ag land. So to me, that is the ultimate measure you can take to protect your property, is to put it in a conservation easement.
I think that it's going to save some of the better California rangeland in areas like we are, close to population density areas, that they get tremendous pressure for development. And like I tell everyone, if we didn't do that, 10 years from now, you'd see houses and lights all over this mountain.
We're out working the land and doing it. And to me, that's what an environmentalist is all about, is going out and actually doing something about it.
Cattle and the environment in harmony together on Yolo Land and Cattle Company, the national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award.
Joining us now to talk about his experience as a national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award is Scott Stone of Yolo Land and Cattle. And Scott, as we talk about that experience, which happened in 2007, just describe the feeling that went through you and your family when that announcement was made.
Russell, we were absolutely amazed and flabbergasted that they called our name. We were in the ESAP reception, and we heard our name called, and we were looking at the other contestant families because we kept expecting one of them to get up. Their applications were so good, and some of the projects that they were doing on some of these other ranches were just incredible, and we really didn't think that we would come in as winners. So when they called our name, we weren't even paying attention. They had to call our name twice. Finally, somebody poked us and said, "Hey, you guys are the winners." And so it was a great honor. Our family, we'd been working on this stuff for years and years, did not expect to have this kind of recognition. We were grateful for it. And with that recognition comes a great deal of responsibility for our family to go out and tell our story to our consumers in the beef industry.
Let's talk about that. I mean, first of all, you're very humble, and it's a great message to share with not just consumers and people outside the beef cattle industry, but certainly sharing that story with those that are still directly involved. How has winning the National ESAP Award allowed you to go out and tell that wonderful story?
Well, the National Cattlemen staff has done a great job of media training for all the regional winners through the process, and that has helped us greatly. And so after we won the award, we went out and started doing different interviews, both radio interviews and newspaper interviews and television spots. And it's really easy to go out and tell your story when you're very passionate about what you do. And we've had a lot of success stories with our conservation projects and our partners over the years. And so when we were called on to go do some of these stories, it just came very naturally.
Well, you've been on the selection committee for a few years now. Walk us through the process of what it's like to be on that selection committee, because we know there's quite a few qualified nominees each and every year from the different regions of Ncba.
So this is my 11th year of being on the selection advisory group, and it's just a wonderful group of people. We have academia, we have our sponsors that are there, we have producers from throughout the industry, and everybody gets together at a certain point in the spring and at a certain location. We tour a couple of operations, and then we sit down and we have to hash out through all these different regions all the applications. And it's just amazing the quality of the applications that come in from all these different producers throughout the United States. So we carefully go through these applications and we select a regional winner for each one of the 7 regions. And then later in the year in December, the selection group will meet again and convene for a teleconference, and we will go through all the regional winners and select the national winner.
And Scott, let's kind of wrap things up, having you describe your feelings about the overall value of the ESAP program to the entire U.S. beef cattle industry and why you think it's endured for so many years.
I think the ESAP program is one of the most important programs that the National Cattlemen's Foundation has stood behind all through these years. And the reason is we have all these amazing producers doing incredible things on their ranches throughout the United States. And these producers are so busy producing the healthiest, safest, cheapest, and most environmentally sustainable beef proteins in the world on their ranches that we don't have the time to go out and tell our story the way it needs to be told. So it's an extremely important program, and we need to keep it going, and it will keep going with the National Cattlemen's.
Well, absolutely well said, and we thank you for being such a positive spokesperson for the U.S. beef cattle industry.
Thank you, Russell.
Now, you may wonder, just how do you win the Environmental Stewardship Award? Well, first, you have to be nominated. Any organization or individual can nominate a beef producer for the Environmental Stewardship Award. After that, a committee of experts from in and outside the cattle industry evaluates each nominee and picks a winner from each Ncba region. The selection committee looks for both sound conservation practices and the ability to serve as spokespersons for the industry. You can download a copy of the nomination packet at environmentalstewardship.org. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, more on the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program, including additional insights on the value of the program from past winners. Don't go away, we'll have more right after this.
Saddle up and make your way to Denver, Colorado for the 2018 Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting. This is your chance to stay up to date on beef industry trends and policies. Meet with industry leadership and your fellow cattlemen and women. Plus, you'll get insights on hot topics at the Issues Forums. Mark your calendar for the 2018 Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting, August 1st to the 4th in Denver. Find out more at ncba.org.
No matter what job I've got to do, my John Deere 5E tractor will do it all. Whether I'm cutting, moving feed, or building a fence. Using my 5E means my work gets done faster at a price I can afford, and that works for me.
Welcome back. Today we're saluting the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program, which has spent more than a quarter of a century honoring cattle producers for their outstanding work in caring for their land and resources. In 2012, the 77 Ranch in Texas was honored as the National ESAP winner. Let's take a look at their operation.
In the cool of a Texas morning, Gary Price and his son Gary Lee are moving cattle. The 77 Ranch got its start 36 years ago when Gary and Sue Price acquired their first piece of land from a family friend.
The ranch actually has been put together through the years. We bought the first piece of property back in 1976 from a good old friend of mine named Yolo. He was an old cowboy friend of mine I met first when I was 8 years old. And bought the first piece of property from him when he was beginning to get out of ranching.
The 77 Ranch is definitely a family operation. My husband and I and our son, Gary Lee. I'm fortunate to be married to a husband that loves his job. Every day he gets up and he can't wait to get out and try to make things better.
The 77 Ranch has grown to nearly 2,500 acres today. Because Gary and Sue acquired it piece by piece, their land is in various stages of restoration.
Some of these areas that we know are cropped old fields, we've gone back in and we've reseeded those with native grass mixes and forbs. And some areas, all we've had to do is, through our rotational grazing system, be able to rest those a little bit, and those native grasses, the seed source was there, and then they've really responded well.
I think of Gary as a restoration specialist. We've been able to buy several different farms that joined us, and he could see the possibility that the land had.
Range management, my dad, I think that's, he just kind of has a knack for it. He's a natural at it. One thing he always told me, and I always go back to it, and when I'm out there, you take care of your grass and it'll take care of you.
The list of conservation projects on 77 Ranch is long. Gary worked with Ducks Unlimited to install a seasonal wetland. Land that once included a washed-out gully now produces a crop and turns into a valuable wetland each fall. And Gary and Sue share the story of ranching with visitors and school groups.
I have a belief that we need to share stewardship with younger people, and that's why it's so important to us to open our gates.
And we bring out 3rd and 4th graders and bring them out on the land from these urban areas, whether it be Dallas or even the Blooming Grove kids locally, and they come out, and we've tried to connect them to the land through the water that they drink and let them know that their water comes across some ranch somewhere.
The long-term future of 77 Ranch looks bright. Gary Lee is currently working on a ranch in West Texas, but the plan is for him to return home and continue the legacy of stewardship his parents have begun.
It's great that our son loves ranching as much as we do, and when he takes over someday, we'll be leaving it in very good hands.
We like to look at it as we're not trying to conquer this place and conquer this land, but to learn to get along with it, see what it's trying to tell us, and to pass it along certainly better than we found it.
Joining us now is Gary Lee Price of 77 Ranch. And Gary, first thing out of the chute, let's talk about what it meant for you and your family to be named the National ESAP Award winners in 2012.
Russell, it was a great honor for my family and myself, and the 5 years since then we've gotten to meet a lot of great people. It's taken us a lot of places we wouldn't have been able to go otherwise, and I've really enjoyed being here today helping pick the nominees for this year's winner, and it's really hard, it's really tough duty because there are some great ranches, and unfortunately they have to be narrowed down to just a few and eventually to one.
You know, as we talk about one of the nation's most prestigious environmental stewardship awards out there, why is stewardship such a passion for your family?
Well, Dad always says that we have to get this right because it's our livelihood. And I think as humans, as Americans, as citizens in this great country, we have to also get it right. We have to feed ourselves, and we have to feed so many people in the world now. We have to get it right. There are no plan Bs. So Ncba has been great. To me, they're a bridge between such a health-conscious consumer and the producer. There's so many great producers out there that are doing the right things, but sometimes their story's not told, and to me Ncba is the perfect bridge between the two.
Describe for us why you believe this ESAP program is so important for the U.S. beef cattle industry.
Well, again, it really helps to showcase producers that are trying to do the right things. They're trying to protect the environment. Cattle and the environment they don't work against each other, they work with each other. They complement each other, and you can throw wildlife in that equation as well. It's not one of the three, it's all three working together. And I think Ncba, and especially the ESAP program, highlights and showcases some of these ranches that are doing wonderful things. And me and my family have just really been humbled to be a part of those great ranches that have been nominated over the years.
I also wanted to ask you, what's your advice for another producer out there who's at home watching that may be unsure whether or not they want to take the time or the effort to apply for ESAP?
Well, as with anything, I would encourage them to get good advice from people locally. In Texas, we've got the AgriLife Extension Service, we've got the NRCS, we've got so many great agencies that are Ncba and ESAP award friendly and make great recommendations for these producers. I'd encourage them to ask those folks, say, is this something that you think I can do? And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but hopefully they'll try it, and look forward to seeing them here.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, sir.
Thank you, Russell, and thank everybody with the Ncba. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Want to rewatch an episode of Cattlemen to Cattlemen or even catch up on anything you've missed? Then visit our YouTube page. You'll find replays of all of our shows filled with educational segments and producer profiles from around the country. It's also another chance to see our friend Baxter Black. So check us out at youtube.com/Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll talk with another former ESAP winner to see how winning the award has impacted his family's operation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you're in the cattle business, no matter how much it's a business, it still starts with cattle. It's this basic notion that sits at the core of how we approach things at Beringer Ingelheim. We understand when you put the cattle first, it just naturally leads to doing the right things. If you want to do well in this business, you start by doing right. Take care of the cattle, and they'll take care of you.
Time is of the essence in high-quality hay production. Most forages lose 20% of their total digestible nutrients and 40% of their protein just 10 days after their optimal harvest stage. You've got to hit the field when the time is right. Take a look at the full lineup of disc mower conditioners from Case IH with cutting widths from 9 to 16 feet. Case IH combines fast cutting with high-quality conditioning. Conditioning systems up to 125 inches allow for wider, thinner swaths, so more crop is exposed to the sun for a faster dry down and higher feed value. Plus, our quick change knife system won't let dull blades slow you down. Case IH disc mowers deliver the rugged durability you need for even the roughest or rockiest hay field. So if you're ready for high-efficiency hay production, talk to your local Case IH dealer or visit caseih.com/minute to learn more.
Over the years, nearly 200 cattle operations have been honored as regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Each one faces its own unique challenges, but they all share a similar philosophy: take care of the land and it'll take care of you. Here's a look at the 2012 Region 7 winner, the Blackleg Ranch of South Dakota.
Blackleg Ranch stretches across more than 13,000 acres of grassland in west central South Dakota. Bill Blackleg grew up here and started his own operation in the late 1970s by purchasing land near his parents' ranch. Today, he manages Blackleg Ranch with help from his wife Penny and son Bo.
We're running about 850 or 900 mother cows and approximately 300 yearling cattle. Probably 10% of our cows are registered Angus, and the rest of them have an Angus or Red Angus base with some Gelbvieh or Simmental influence mixed into them. Grass is basically what we live off. We always talk about how much the calves weigh when you sell them, or how many pounds of beef or whatever you raise, but I mean that all equates back to how much grass you grow.
It's just been something that's bred in us, I guess, so we want to care for the land. We want to acknowledge how important it is to us and how we need to keep it up and treat it right.
Together, all of their stewardship efforts have the benefit of providing high-quality wildlife habitat. With an eye toward every detail, the Blackleg family works day in and day out to care for the land that they and their cattle depend on.
Oh, I love being part of the family operation. I know my grandpa was proud of me when I came back to do the place, and I hope eventually someday I have kids that want to take it over. I just love to do something different every day, and I just love that aspect of it.
You know, I think we're on the right track and we're doing a lot of things right, but I think we've got a lot more to learn and we've got a lot more to do, but I'm comfortable and happy where we're at and that we're headed in the right direction.
Here now to talk about his experience as a regional ESAP winner is Bill Blackleg from South Dakota. And Bill, how has winning the award given you and your family the opportunity to get out and tell the great story of ranching here in the United States?
I think the main thing it's done is it's made it easier. You know, you go to some little meetings and you talk to people and stuff and things like that, and now you got this and you kind of gain some experience and you talk to people and you meet more people, and it just opened up a lot of doors to help tell the story and to make it easier to tell the story.
As a past ESAP winner now, I mean, what's a good piece of advice for another cattleman or cattlewoman out there on improving their operation?
Well, people want to hear our stories, and there's a lot of good stories to tell, and I think ranchers in general are probably not real good storytellers. They don't really like to brag about what they're doing, but we actually need to get out and tell that story, because if we don't tell it, somebody else might tell it, and they probably won't get it right.
You know, we as cattlemen and cattlewomen often get worried about the cost of doing things, but when we look at a program of trying to do what's right for the land and continuing on for the next generation, you really can't put a price on that, can you?
I think my response to that thinking is people ask you, can you afford to do it? And my thought is, can you afford not to do it? And we need to keep passing things on and better than we've got it, and make sure that everything can continue on and just continue to improve for the environment.
Describe why you think the ESAP program is so important for the long-term viability and success, really, of the U.S. beef cattle industry.
Well, you know, if a rancher goes out and tries to do something and say he has 5, 10, 15,000 acres and he improves it, I mean, that's good, but when you're looking at the total picture, where he can really do some good is if he goes out and gets another 10 or 20 ranchers to do that, and it just snowballs and multiplies, and that's where we can really do some good for what people think of our industry and for the environment and things like that.
And last question, really, because I mean, we're all busy people, but it's worth the time to fill out the application and at least throw your name out there and go for a regional or hopefully a national award.
You know, it's a great honor being a regional winner. Trying to select regional winners now and what it goes through and what it takes to be a regional winner, that's no small feat. So yeah, take your time and you'll be amazed at the people you meet along the way, and you probably get to go see some interesting operations, and you'll learn something.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for being with us on Cattlemen to Cattlemen again.
Good talking to you, Russell.
Now, if you'd like to stay up to date with what's happening with Ncba's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you can find us on Facebook. We keep you posted with information about upcoming shows, farms, and ranches that we're visiting around the country. And of course, we share legacy photos as well. So check us out on Facebook today. We're not done talking about the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program. Coming up, we'll hear from one longtime supporting agency about the value of the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again. Because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American cattlemen since 1921.
There is a new world out there, revealing itself in unpredictable ways. A world that demands more from the land and those who grow, farm, and build on it. This new world calls for the ingenuity to get more out of it, while preserving as much as we can. After all, to stay ahead of tomorrow, we need to be equipped for it today.
Welcome back to Cattlemen to Cattlemen, where today we're highlighting the Environmental Stewardship Awards Program and its value to the beef cattle industry. Joining me now is Clark Willingham, past Ncba president and current treasurer of the National Cattlemen's Foundation. And Clark, thanks for being with us here on C2C today. And as a past national president of Ncba, talk about your thoughts about the prestigious ESAP award.
Well, I think it's one of the best things that we've done in the industry. We started it in 1991. It was Ncba at the time, of course, but we've had the award since that time. And we started the award because there's a misconception about what cattlemen do, you know, on their ranches. And we needed to show that we really are the environmental stewards of the world. And so that's why we set up this award.
You've been inside the inner workings, so to speak, on the ESAP selection committee and the meetings. What impresses you about the nominees that you get to see from the different Ncba regions?
Well, it's good that we have really good people in every region. They're different sizes, different land types that they're working with and stuff, but they're all dedicated to making, you know, their land better for future generations. And that's important.
You know, whether it be a regional winner or maybe if they're lucky enough, they go on to become a national winner. How are these ESAP winners then utilized as spokespeople, if you will, for the U.S. beef cattle industry after winning the ESAP award?
Well, that's the whole point of it, Russell, is it's not just to give them a medal or a trophy. We want them to become spokespersons for what we do as an industry. And so we do media training with them, and then we expect them to be good spokespersons back in their home communities. Some of them, we go to Washington, D.C. with them. We'll go to New York with them. I mean, we're using them as a great example of what we really all do in this industry.
Lastly, what's your hope for the future of the ESAP program?
Well, I think we will definitely continue it. McDonald's has become a sponsor this year, and that could be a game changer. We want to really be able to show people, you know, through retailers and wholesalers and, you know, the grocery stores and so forth, where they understand where beef comes from and that we are treating the animals right and we are treating the land right. That's how we all make a living. And you don't, you know, tear up your own factory. You know, it's important for us to continue to show that we're great stewards of the land.
As always, my friend, thanks for being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Thank you, Russell. Good to see you.
The Environmental Stewardship Award winners are helping to make a difference every day. Would you like to join in the effort to tell the real story of stewardship and how cattlemen care for the land? One way is to become a member of Ncba. It's easy to do. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. This program wouldn't be possible without the partnership of a lot of different companies and agencies that have joined with the Ncba and the National Cattlemen's Foundation to keep the Environmental Stewardship Program going strong. Joining me now is Kurt Foreman from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And Kurt, thank you for being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Let's talk about why the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service continues to support ESAP.
Yeah, I think the first thing I think of is when you realize that 70% of the land in the U.S. is privately owned, if you're going to implement conservation in an effective way, you need to have landowner-based partnerships. And ESAP does a great job at highlighting those sorts of partnerships across the nation.
You and I were talking last night at supper about farmers and ranchers and what they're doing for the nation's wildlife population. Maybe tell us, in what ways are these winners helping to improve that habitat out there for wildlife?
Yeah, you know, for me to review the ESAP applications and get to know some of the winners, it's really been amazing to see the diversity of the sort of operations. They're doing great conservation, but some common themes that I've noticed continue to be an emphasis on grazing management, which has a lot of wildlife benefits, an emphasis on the next generation of land stewards, and then underpinning all of that is just a sincere interest in maintaining open spaces. And I see that from Florida all the way to Hawaii. Those three common themes are very important in the ESAP mindset and very important for wildlife conservation.
How important is it to have producers out there on the land that are willing to think outside the box a little bit?
I think it's very important. I mean, you have to have the data and the science to back things up, but traditionally what I've seen is landowners generally will watch their neighbors, and if they see a conservation practice that works, then that'll set the stage for more of that conservation practice to be implemented widely across the neighborhood and across the landscape. So in that instance, neighbor to neighbor is very important to get the conservation message out.
What's your advice to somebody out there who wants to make some changes, who wants to make some positive changes out there and maybe start embracing some different things on their operation? How do we get them started?
Sure. I'll be the first to admit that it can look complex. There's a number of different organizations and agencies that offer conservation assistance. But I think the thing that works for landowners is the conservation community is, in a sense, very tight-knit and very small. So it doesn't matter what agency or what group you begin to work with, find somebody that you trust, start a small conservation practice with those folks. And oftentimes, if there's other work that you want to have done on your land that they can't help you with, they can get you connected with the right person. So just start locally, and if you have to reach out further, work with your agency person to do that.
Thank you, Kurt. Some very sound advice, and thanks for being with us here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Thank you.
Over the years, many winners have pointed to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as a key partner that helped them achieve their goals. Just visit fws.gov to learn about the technical and financial assistance the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service can provide your operation. Still ahead, it's time for another visit with our good friend Baxter Black, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest cattle industry organization, working every day to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen and policy updates from Beltway Beef, plus big discounts from John Deere, Cabela's, and more great partners. Join now. Call 866-233-3872 or sign up online at ncba.org.
We know you're up before the dawn because the cattle rise before the sun. And you spend long hours in the saddle because the herd isn't always over the next rise. And you care for the land because you know it takes care of your family. And we know you do great work. And it's time to tell that story to the marketplace. IMI Global is here to help you do just that.
If Baxter makes you laugh, you're at the right place. He has an offer. Of course, this is a commercial. 6-hour-long DVDs filled with live shows, Emmy-winning comedy, all Baxter at his best. And the price is right, $25 plus shipping. 800-654-2550 or online at baxterblack.com. You want to know what he's like in real life? Well, kind of like you.
It is the bad dream of every rancher's wife during calving season. Not as bad as a blizzard or a machinery wreck, but worse than having to go to Kingfisher for parts. Hubby's been gone overnight, so Shirley goes to check the new calves in the calving lot. She spots a heifer on her side. Her abdomen is tight. She's straining. Shirley approaches the beast for a closer look. Ooh, no feet sticking out. A call on her cell phone to the father-in-law down the road proves fruitless. No one answers. So back to the house she goes to get her teenage daughter. I'm gonna need your help, Mom said. Mom, whines the daughter in 2 syllables. I'm just done my hair. I've got on my school clothes. Pull on your overalls. Grab some boots. I can't do it alone. 10 minutes later, the two of them go back to the pen. Shirley is carrying a length of rope, and the cow is in even more trouble. She's breathing in gasps. She has a grossly distended abdomen, and yet still no sign of the calf. They put a loop around the cow's legs. Shirley instructs her daughter, I'll hold the rope. You stick your hand in there and find the calf. Your hands are smaller. No way, said the daughter, as if she'd been asked to jump in a barrel of soft-boiled eggs. There's no time to lose, said Shirley, handing the rope to her daughter. Shirley got her arm inside the cow past her wrist and could feel nothing. The cow was pushing back, grunting and struggling to get upright. Pull on that rope, Shirley shouted and forced her arm in up to the shoulder. It's so tight, she said, but I still can't find the calf. That might be him up there by her head, said a voice she recognized as her father-in-law's. What? Said Shirley, looking up to see a calf curled like a cat, contentedly sleeping 10 feet away. She looked down at her arm and up at the cow, who for one brief moment raised her head high enough to look back at her torturer. Well, she stammered, what's the matter with... Bloat, he answered. I'll go get the hose. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thank you, Baxter. We always enjoy our visits with you every week. We'll have more Cattlemen to Cattlemen right after this.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining Ncba. When you join, you'll have access to key policy updates and insights from Beltway Beef. It's the best way to hear directly from Ncba's DC team. Beltway Beef provides valuable policy information, and it's free for Ncba members. Stay in touch with Beltway Beef. Join now at ncba.org.
Do you know all you need to about working cattle? Did you know there are proven methods that can reduce stress for the animals, for you and your crew? Now there's an easy way for you to learn from the experts who can help sharpen your stockmanship and stewardship skills. In interactive sessions, you'll learn better ways to work cattle more efficiently, skills that can help put more money in your pocket. Find out more and locate an upcoming event near you at the website stockmanshipandstewardship.org.
Welcome back. One important step that you can take to help ensure that we as cattle producers can pass on our land and legacy is by joining me as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. I've seen firsthand how every day the NCBA staff is working to protect the interests of cattle producers all across the country. But they can't do it alone. Become a member today. Just call 1-866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. Mention Cattlemen to Cattlemen and you'll get a special welcome gift. Today we've talked to several past ESAP winners and have heard from selection committee members that are hard at work looking at all of this year's excellent nominees. Now, the 2018 ESAP regional winners will be announced at the NCBA Summer Business Meeting taking place August 1st through the 4th in Denver, Colorado. In addition to highlighting the ESAP winners, this is when producers from all over the country come together to set policy and direction for the coming year. Visit ncba.org for details on how you can help shape the future of our beef industry. That wraps up this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, coming to you today from North Dakota. Thanks so much for spending a little bit of time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.